I wanted to ask, is it smart to buy something in central London as a long-term investment?
Central London has had a lot of price growth compared to outer London. And what we're seeing in prices now is that a degree of a ripple effect as affordability has become increasingly stretched in parts of central London. Then people are looking further out, both investors and owner-occupiers, to either be able to afford somewhere for their own occupation or from an investment point of view to actually see greater returns. So having said that, central London, very limited supply, and we've only briefly touched on supply and demand, but it doesn't matter what you buy in life, if you're buying something that is in really limited supply, then it's a safe bet and will tend to go up in value. But at the moment, more action in terms of affordability and future profit is happening in outer London.
It depends what you mean by central London, really. You know, if you think Belgravia and Knightsbridge have gone up by 360% in the last 10 years, which is just mind-boggling when you think about it. If I was going to do it, not just from an investment point of view, but just a kind of personal, I suppose a personal equity point of view, knowing that you've got some security, is buying near good transport links. Transport, I mean, Crossrail, for example, property prices around Crossrail stations are going to increase a lot when that opens in 2017, 2018, because it is all about being able to commute into your job and then back out again. And you do get regeneration hubs, for want of a better word, around good transport like that. So, and then that's what's causing another ripple effect, really, because the better the transport gets and how those links get back into central London, then people are happy to move out or buy on the edges to be able to get into town easier. And that's also combined with the fact that the reality is people just can't afford to be so close to the middle of town anyway, so happy to move to the edges. So those transport hubs are enormous at the minute, and places that, I shouldn't really talk about specific ones, but certain areas that people wouldn't have wanted to live in a few years ago are now starting to increase now because of that increased transport in those areas.
It is an interesting question to work out whether or not, when you start looking for a property, it should be new build or an existing property. What are the advantages of each?
Well, one of the issues really with new builds is that generally they cost more, you know, because they are of a better standard, a better quality. The developer's obviously looking to make some of his profit now, where the developer that maybe built that property 30 or 40 years ago has already made his profit, and it's been kind of spread against all the people that have owned it. So you are paying that profit to him directly now on that build. So new builds generally, not always, I mean, the guys I'll kind of qualify this a bit more, generally more expensive. You're getting a better build quality, hopefully, although some people will even dispute that because there's some house builders out there aren't building at the standard and quality that they should be, really. And it's also about kind of personal taste and style, isn't it? Some people like living in older properties. And when I've been doing the Empty Homes campaign over the last few years, there's been this huge debate where a lot of councils would say, oh yeah, we're demolishing all of this old housing stock because people don't want to live in them anymore. And then you go and speak to people who are potentially first-time buyers saying, I'll buy it, I'll take it tomorrow. And you've got to think about your long-term running costs of something like that. You might be buying a property where the boiler's over 10 years old, so it really does need replacing. Might not have double glazing, you might be thinking about doing that. So before you know it, there might be £6,000, £7,000, £8,000, £9,000 worth of costs just to get your older property up at the standard and comfort level that you want. So it's a personal decision more than anything else.
Does it make a difference in getting a mortgage, whether it's new build or an existing property?
No, they're slightly different. Different lenders will lend you different amounts depending on whether it's new build or second hand, but no, generally not at all. And there's often different government schemes. Clearly, one of the biggest problems in driving house prices up is there's a lack of supply. So we're historically fairly low levels of new build homes. We need to build, people say about 200,000 houses a year. There's been about 100,000 being built. So there's a lot of government schemes to incentivise help builders, which is why the first part of Help to Buy went on new homes, so you can often get some quite good deals. So that tends to be the main difference, really. But from a lender's point of view, there's some slight differences, but most lenders will lend on all things. They might lend you different levels on new build versus second-hand homes.
Does it make a difference as to what kind of investment it is, Holly? Are you going to make your money back better on a new build or a historic property?
I think a property is worth what someone wants to pay for it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it comes down to. You know, I like period properties myself, but a lot of people just want something functional with a brand new boiler. They don't want to have, they want double glazing, they just want a functional home, not interested.
It will make life a little bit easier when it comes to surveys and peace of mind for the banks as well. So if you're a first-time buyer on a property, the banks will generally insist on having a survey done as one of the conditions of that. And if it's a new build property, the survey is normally effortless unless you've got a really bad house builder. But when you're buying a period property, the list can be pretty long. Yes. And nearly all surveys are non-intrusive surveys anyway, so you never really know what you're going to get. Yeah. You know, it's a visual inspection of the building. They're not pulling off floorboards to see whether you've got rotten joists beneath. So there's more risk involved, if you like, with an older property than a new one. And the new one's got guarantees against it anyway, because the developer will have backed that through their own insurances. Yeah.